That afternoon, Oliver walked into the house, wrapped his arms around me, and whispered, "They ate at a restaurant, and I waited in the car for 2 hours." He said it so gently, as if it were something small, but in that moment, something in me shifted, and I knew silence was no longer an option. My name is Marina Elwood. I am 58 years old, the kind of woman people describe as steady because I learned early that keeping calm could keep a home from splintering. I grew up swallowing my reactions, smoothing the edges of every moment, convincing myself that staying quiet was safer than being honest. Those habits do not disappear just because you outgrow childhood. When Oliver came through the door that afternoon, I felt something was wrong before he even spoke. My 8-year-old grandson normally bursts in with stories and questions, but this time he moved slowly, carefully, like he was trying not to disturb the air around him. He walked straight to me, lifted his arms, and held on with a kind of fragile determination. His voice brushed against my shoulder. "Grandma, they ate at a restaurant. I waited in the car for 2 hours. I thought maybe they forgot me, or maybe I wasn't supposed to go." I did not gasp or freeze in shock. What I felt was quieter, deeper, an old echo from a life I promised myself I would never repeat with the next generation. I recognized that tone, the way a child tries to make sense of being left behind. I knelt, pulled him close, and told him he was safe. I asked nothing else. He had already carried enough. When he loosened his hold, I stood, reached for my keys, and walked him to the living room. Whatever waited for me beyond that door, I was no longer the woman who stayed quiet. Oliver stayed curled on the couch, clutching the blanket like he needed something solid to hold. I told him I would be back soon, and he nodded once, eyes lowered, as if agreeing too quickly might make me change my mind. I stepped outside and dialed Daniel as I walked to the car. He picked up on the 3rd ring. "Mom, can this wait?" "I just sat down," he said. "It cannot." I answered, "I'm coming over." A pause, sharp, defensive. "Why? What happened now? Ask yourself," I said, and ended the call. The drive to Northeast Portland felt both too long and not long enough. My hands tightened on the wheel, anger pushing up like heat under my ribs, but beneath it was something colder. Fear. The same fear I used to feel as a girl when my mother insisted nothing was wrong and expected me to agree. I would not do that to Oliver. Halfway there, another memory slipped in. Daniel limping across my kitchen 2 weeks earlier, brushing off my concern. "Just my knee acting up again," he said. "Too much running around for work." He had looked exhausted then, worn down from pushing himself harder than he ever admitted. I held on to that flicker of humanity, but it did not soften what he had done. My phone buzzed. A text from Lacey. "If this is about today, please calm down before you get here. Daniel is stressed enough." I called her. "You left Oliver in the car." Her breath hit the line like a dropped stone. "He told you, Marina." "It was not like that." "Then you can explain it to me in person," I said. Neither of them called back. By the time I turned onto their street, something inside me had settled a tight, steady resolve. Whatever waited behind their door, I was done pretending everything was fine. Daniel opened the door with a flat, tired look, like I had interrupted something unimportant. "Mom, you could have called again," he said. "I did call," I answered. "You just did not listen." Lacey stood behind him, arms folded, tapping one finger against her elbow. "If this is about Oliver, we can talk calmly." Calmly, I stepped inside. "He told me everything." Daniel exhaled, irritated. He did not want to come in. He was being dramatic, and we were already running late. "That is not what he said." Lacey's gaze flicked to Daniel. Maybe he misunderstood. "You know how kids do not finish that," I cut in. "You left him alone for 2 hours." Daniel's jaw twitched. "It was not 2 hours. How long then?" I asked. He hesitated. Lacey shifted her weight. biting the inside of her cheek. "An hour and a half," she said quietly. "Maybe a little more." Daniel snapped, "Lacey, stop giving numbers." "You are making it worse." She flinched. That small movement told me more about their marriage than any argument could. "You told him to stay in the car," I said. "You walked away." Daniel rubbed his forehead. "Mom, I was exhausted. My knee was killing me." He started whining the second we parked, and I needed one peaceful meal. "You needed peace," I repeated, letting each word land. "And you took it from an 8-year-old, Lacey whispered. "We thought he would nap. The windows were cracked. It was not dangerous. He fell asleep because he was waiting for you." Daniel's voice rose. "You are blowing this out of proportion. One rough day does not make us bad parents." I looked at both of them. His anger, her guilt, the quiet space between them where neither stepped forward to take responsibility. "This was not a rough day," I said. "This was a choice." Neither of them answered. Lacey's eyes dropped to the floor, and Daniel's fists tightened at his sides, as if holding on to a version of the story he could no longer defend. Daniel sank onto the edge of the couch, rubbing his knee like he wished he could disappear into the cushions. Lacey stayed standing, arms wrapped around herself. Neither spoke, and the silence drew old memories out of me like threads pulled from a seam. I said quietly, "When you were a boy, you never asked for anything. Do you remember that?" Daniel shrugged. "I did not need much." "No," I said. "You learned not to ask. You watched your grandparents hand everything to your uncle because he was the sensitive one. You were the one they trusted to be fine." He didn't look at me. "That was a long time ago." "Yes," I said, "and I told myself you were fine too. You did your homework without help. You made your own meals when I worked late. You were independent. So I thought you did not need me the same way." "That was my mistake," Lacey whispered. "What does that have to do with today?" "Everything," I answered. Favoritism does not start as a big decision. It starts with tiny excuses. It starts with sentences like, "He is easier," or "She needs more attention." I have heard those sentences before. Daniel frowned. "We do not favor anyone. At your sister's house last month, I said, 'Your nieces sat at the table, and Oliver was told to go play in the basement because he talks too much.'" Lacey winced. "That was not my idea. And today," I continued, "you ate with them again. 5 seats. No seat for your son." Daniel lifted his head just enough to meet my eyes. "Mom, it was one meal." "No," I said. "It was a pattern. One I refused to see in time." Lacey's breath hitched. Daniel's shoulders fell forward, and he stared at the floor as if he finally understood I was not arguing about a single afternoon anymore. Daniel finally lifted his head. "Mom, I am not pretending we handled it well, but I needed a break. I have been running on empty for weeks. Work is a mess. My knee hurts all the time, and Oliver has been a lot. How I asked. He argues. He pushes back. He gets restless in restaurants. I cannot manage him when I am this worn down," Lacey whispered. "It was just a couple hours. Marina, we thought he would be fine. We checked on him once." I stared at her. "He is 8 years old. 2 hours alone is not a break for you. It is developmental harm for him." Daniel flinched, but held his ground. "You do not understand what it is like in our house right now. I understand more than you think." I said, "I understand exhaustion. I understand feeling like you are failing, but abandoning him is not the answer." Lacey stepped in closer. "We did not abandon him. We misjudged No," I said firmly. "You chose yourselves over him. You decided peace mattered more than safety." Daniel's jaw tightened. "You are twisting this." "Then say it plainly," I replied. "Did you tell him to stay in the car?" His silence gave me my answer. The room closed in around us, thick with everything no one wanted to admit. "Finally," he said. I needed one meal where nobody was yelling or spilling or complaining. I am trying, Mom. I really am. You do not get to try at an 8-year-old's expense. I said, he is not difficult. He is overwhelmed, and he is learning from you that being himself costs him love. Lacey's eyes brimmed. We did not mean for it to go that far, but it did. I said, and until both of you get counseling together and as parents, Oliver is coming home with me. Permanently. If I have to. Daniel stood. You are taking my son. I am protecting him, I said. Because someone has to. I had barely pulled into my driveway when my phone rang. Fiona's name lit the screen. I answered because ignoring her never made anything easier. Her voice came sharp and ready. Marina, what did you do now? Daniel says you stormed into their house screaming about kidnapping. Are you trying to blow up the family again? I did not scream, I said, and I did not mention kidnapping. I confronted them because they left Oliver alone in a car for 2 hours. Fiona scoffed. He is dramatic. He probably counted wrong. Kids exaggerate. He did not exaggerate, I said. He was frightened. No. She snapped. You are frightened. And now everyone has to pay for it. Daniel and Lacey told me you threatened to take Oliver away permanently. Do you know how insane that sounds? I told them the truth. I said, Oliver is with me until they get help. Fiona's tone shifted, lower and meaner, and you just cannot stand that Daniel has a life you do not control. He told me you have been judging their parenting for months. Lacey is devastated. Lacey is nervous because she knows what happened, I replied. And Daniel is spinning a story to avoid responsibility. Oh, please, she said. You have always had it out for them. Meanwhile, you hand Oliver anything he wants, spoiling him, acting like you know better than his own parents. This is not about spoiling, I said. This is about safety. She exhaled sharply. You are making this bigger than it is. If you go through with this, do not expect the family to take your side. I am not asking for sides. I said, I am asking for honesty. Well, you will not get it from me, she said, and hung up. I stood in the kitchen, phone still warm in my hand, knowing exactly what would happen next. Daniel would twist the story to anyone who would listen. Fiona would believe him, because she always benefited from being the favorite, and I would be painted as the unstable mother who meddled too much. I opened my laptop and searched for the paperwork, temporary guardianship, emergency filings, custody considerations. My chest tightened as I scanned the requirements. Courts favored parents. Judges loved family unity. I knew the odds, and none were in my favor. But Oliver had whispered the truth to me, and I would not let him carry the consequences alone. I printed the forms, signed my name, and prepared to file them first thing in the morning. Oliver was sitting cross-legged on the living room rug, lining up his toy cars in a perfect row. I sat beside him and waited until he glanced up. His eyes were steady, but dimmer than usual, like someone had turned down the brightness inside him. Oliver, I said softly, can you tell me about today? Only what you want to. He rolled a car forward, then whispered, we were going somewhere special. Dad said it was a surprise. A surprise, I repeated, matching his tone. He nodded. I thought maybe a movie. Or the place with the big pretzels. What happened when you got there? He moved another car. I tried to open my door, but Dad said, stay put. He said it would be quick. He said it was not for me. My fingers tightened around my knees, but I kept my voice level. Did you ask why? He shrugged. I did not want to make him mad. He gets tired when I ask too many things. I breathed slowly, letting him go on his own time. I watched them walk inside. He said, I thought maybe they would come back soon. I counted to 100 2 times. Then I finished the crackers I had in my pocket. Then I fell asleep. How did you feel when they came back? I asked. His shoulders curled inward. Dad said to tell you I was tired and did not want to go in. He said it would be easier. I did not want to lie, but he said it was better. Better for who, I asked quietly. He blinked fast. Fighting tears. Maybe for me. Maybe I am too much. I pulled him against me. Gentle, but firm. You are never too much. He leaned into my chest like he wanted to disappear inside the sound of my heartbeat. Grandma, he whispered. Yes, sweetheart. Did I do something wrong? I closed my eyes for a moment, holding the truth steady inside me. No, I said. You did everything right. I was making tea when my phone rang. Lacey's name flashed across the screen, and before I answered, I heard the panic in my own breath. Her voice came out fractured. Marina, he is hurt. Daniel is hurt. He crashed the car. They took him to Providence. They will not start surgery without consent. I am not on the paperwork. Please, please come. What happened? I asked. He said his knee locked while he was driving. She said, he has been exhausted for weeks. I told him to slow down. He would not listen. There was no accusation in her tone, only fear. It softened something in me I did not expect. I am on my way. I said, at the hospital. A nurse led me to a small room where Lacey stood wringing her hands. Her eyes were red. They said you are still the emergency contact, she whispered. They cannot operate without your signature. The surgeon entered just then. He needs the procedure as soon as possible. The injury is severe. Lacey turned to me. Please, Oliver needs his dad. Whatever is happening between all of us, this is different. I thought of Oliver's small voice the day before. I thought of the lies, the excuses, the fear he carried like a weight that did not belong to him. And then I thought of him watching me walk out of the house that morning, trusting I would do the right thing. Give me the forms. I said. The surgeon handed them over. My hand shook only once before I steadied it and signed my name. Lacey let out a sob. Thank you. I nodded. Not for her. Not for Daniel, but because Oliver deserved a world where people showed up even when it was hard. Daniel was sitting upright when I entered his hospital room, pale but alert. He looked at me the way someone looks at a mirror they have been avoiding too long. He cleared his throat. Mom, you did not have to come. I signed the forms. I said, I wanted to see how you were. He nodded slowly. Thank you. I know I do not deserve it. Lacey rose from the chair beside his bed. Her voice trembled. Marina, I am so sorry for everything. I let things slide because I was scared of making things worse. That is not an excuse. It is honest, I said, and honesty is a start. Daniel swallowed hard. I have been overwhelmed, more than I admitted. I felt like I was failing at work, failing at home, failing at being a dad. The more I tried to hide it, the worse I treated everyone. You did not hide it from Oliver, I said quietly. He learned to shrink himself around you. He winced, pressing his palm to his eyes. I know, and it is killing me. Lacey touched his arm. We want to do better. We want help. Counseling, parenting classes, whatever it takes. I studied them. Two people cracked open by circumstance rather than intention. Then we start small. The following weekend, I brought Oliver to the park near the hospital. Daniel sat on a bench, leg braced, posture stiff with nerves. When Oliver approached, Daniel reached out slowly. Hey, buddy. Oliver hesitated before leaning in for a short hug. He kept his eyes on Daniel's face, searching for something. Daniel whispered, I am sorry. I am going to work on myself. I promise. Oliver nodded once. Still cautious, but he sat beside him. Lacey wiped her eyes. Thank you for letting us see him. This is supervised, I said. And it stays that way until trust is rebuilt. Daniel nodded. Whatever it takes. And for the first time in a long while, the air between us held something fragile but real. By early spring, Portland felt softer somehow. Maybe it was the season changing. Or maybe it was the way Oliver's voice had grown steadier, fuller. no longer carrying that careful quiet he used to keep tucked under every sentence. Daniel met us at the community garden on a Saturday morning. He walked slowly with his brace, but he walked without wincing, which was new. He gave a small wave. "Oliver," he called. "I saved the tomato bed for you." Oliver grinned cautiously. "Did you water it this time?" Daniel smiled. "Twice. The plants are tired of hearing me apologize." Oliver laughed quick, bright, and ran ahead to check for himself. Lacey joined me at the edge of the path. "His therapist says he is doing better," she said. "Daniel goes every week, too. He even asked for an extra session last month." I nodded. "He sounds different." "He is trying," she whispered. "Really trying. And I am learning to stop making excuses for both of us." We watched Daniel kneel awkwardly beside Oliver, guiding his hands around the soil. Oliver looked up. "Dad, this one is growing crooked." Daniel chuckled. Then we straightened it together. The simplicity of it hit me harder than any apology. Lacey turned to me. "I want to thank you. Not just for protecting him, but for not giving up on us when you had every right to. I did it for Oliver." I said, "I know," she replied. "That is what makes it mean something. When we joined them." Daniel stood and brushed off his hands. "Mom," he said quietly, "I know I cannot undo what happened, but I can make sure it never happens again." I held his gaze. "Keep doing the work. That is all any of us can ask." Oliver tugged on my sleeve. "Grandma, look. The crooked one is standing straight." I smiled and rested a hand on his back. "So are we, sweetheart." The four of us stayed there a while, not perfect, not repaired, but building something honest, one small truth at a time. Remember to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next story. Your support helps us continue creating meaningful journeys of healing, reflection, and emotional truth. All content in this video is a fictional work created by the Her Secrets writing team. Our stories aim to reflect common conflicts in families and society, helping viewers recognize their emotions and choose healthier, more positive ways of living.